Good evening. On behalf of the graduating class of 2021, I want to welcome you all here to this service tonight. We're here to celebrate an accomplishment that these four students have accomplished. Many years of hard work. Completing an important chapter in their lives. So congratulations to you four. Many of us have been here. Probably most of us here have graduated from high school. Maybe some of you have graduated from college. Some of you here are still in school pressing for this goal. And I just say keep it up. It's a good thing to press through and finish that education. As I was thinking about education and learning and what school is all about, I just was reminded that education and learning in school doesn't end when you get your diploma coming out of high school. It's ongoing throughout all of life, especially for Christians. There's something that we need to be, an education that we need to be involved in for the rest of our lives. And it's the most important thing. 2 Peter 3:18 says, "But grow in grace and in the knowledge of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ." Grow in grace and in the knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ. That's a lifetime of pursuing and learning to know Jesus better. To walk with Him. So whatever stage of life we find ourselves in, whether we're still in school or graduating from school or getting older, this is for us. Grow in grace and in the knowledge of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And the diploma that will be given for those who do that will be tremendous. Eternal life. To be given eternal life with Jesus. That diploma is a far greater value than what you can receive tonight. But what you receive tonight is significant as well. Okay, so the service tonight, Daryn is going to be leading us in a few songs. After that, Dave is going to come and give an address. And then the students, each one of the students are going to have an opportunity to give a speech, to share some things. And then Brendan will present them with their diplomas. And then Brian's going to come forward, and you'll have an opportunity if you'd like to come up and share something, a memory, or just bless these young people. You'll be given an opportunity as well. And then there's refreshments down the pavilion. Let's bow our heads for a word of prayer. Father in heaven, I thank you that we can come together here tonight and celebrate these four young people on their accomplishment of finishing high school. Just thank you for them. Thank you for their lives. And just bless them, Lord, as they go from here. And whatever you lead them into, Father, just ask you to go with them and bless their lives. Bless our time together. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
It shall graduation speech, should I make it as long as possible or as short as possible? But I finally decided until I got my introduction done, it couldn't be the shortest anymore. And I didn't know if I wanted to do the longest. So the former governor of Wyoming, Nell Smith, he was supposed to have a commencement speech for a graduating class. He got up off of his seat when it was his turn. He walks up to the podium, and he looks over at the graduates, he looks around, he says, "You done real good." And he goes and sits back down. So, I won't do that tonight. The longest commencement speech was at Harvard back in the 1800s. And it went on for 6 hours. So I don't know how long you want to stay tonight. And it was given first in Latin and then repeated in Greek. I'm sure there was a lot of sleepy people. I mean, I assume there was after that. The Queen of England was scheduled, thinking about this, whether to make it short or long. The Queen of England was scheduled to visit a small village one time. It was way out of the way, and of course, as was her habit, she had to go to church while she was there. So the only church in town, they called the preacher and said, "The Queen of England's going to come to your service. Such and such a time, get ready for her." And so that kind of bothered the preacher. Wasn't sure what in the world was he supposed to do with the Queen of England in his church. Very nervous. So he called the palace to ask for some advice. And one of the royal assistants to the Queen advised this way. He says, "If you preach for 30 minutes, the Queen's going to be very unhappy. If you preach for 20 minutes, the Queen will be patient. If you preach for 10 minutes, she'll be very delighted." And then he said this, or the pastor was protesting a bit. He says, "What can a man say in 10 minutes that's worth anything?" "That," said the royal assistant stiffly, "is of absolutely no concern to the Queen." So anyway, at a graduation like this, we all see potential. We see potential in young people, and we should. It's like everything opening up ahead of us. We see potential, we see possibilities that are unique to humanity, that God has given. No one is the same. No human being is the same as another in what God has given them, in their genetic makeup as well as their mental and physical makeup. They're all different. And at the same time, that gives us the promise that also potential is not necessarily measured. Potential is never the same in one person to another. And potential is hidden most times and determined more by the character of the individual that develops over a lifetime. A lot of commencement speeches will tell these young people to go be all you can be. The world needs you. Chase your dream. Not sure that's good advice, but I'm going to end with what I think is the right advice on that. Judges 16. I've got a few verses here I wanted to look at tonight. Thinking about potential. We all know Samson. Samson is a character that God saw fit to put his story in the Bible in a pretty systematic way from the beginning to end, from his birth to his death. And a man that was born with the promise of tremendous potential. And we have a lot of details why he ended up like he did. And so I'm just going to read a couple verses here. Judges 16, verses 18 to 21. He said, this is the end of Samson. We all know this story. And when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called for the lords of the Philistines, saying, come up this once, for he has showed me all his heart. The lords of the Philistines came up unto her and brought money in their hand. Remember how they had promised 1,100 pieces of silver to Delilah, each of them. I don't know how many lords there was, but there could have been a good number. If she could convince them, or convince Samson to tell her his secret. The Philistines came to her and brought the money in their hands. She made him sleep on her knees and called for a man and caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head and began to afflict him, and his strength went from him. And she said, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he woke out of his sleep and said, I will go out as at other times before and shake myself. And he wist not that the Lord was departed from him. But the Philistines took him, put out his eyes, and brought him down to Gaza, and bound him with fetters of brass, and he did grind in the prison house. Now, here's a man with tremendous potential that ended up in a sad, sad, sad situation. He ended up blind. He ended up bald. He ended up bound. And he ended up grinding. That means going in circles. There was nowhere else to go. Going in circles. His life would go nowhere from then on. We have a lot of young people in this group here tonight. We have these graduates in front. But how can we instruct our young people, our children, how to be at this stage of life, how to live, so that years after you've left your teen years, you've graduated, you've moved on in life, you have a life that's productive. What do you do? You have purpose in life. Maybe you have family and children, and maybe business, maybe monetary in the bank. How does that happen? How do we avoid this thing of ending up blind, bald, and in bondage? I'm gonna give you 6 ways that we can take from the life of Samson. And this is probably a little bit different way of approaching this, but how to end up with a sad life, with an unproductive life. I'm going to give you six ways that we see from the life of Samson how to end up with a sad life. Number 1, hate where God puts you. That's number 1. Hate where God puts you. Samson was born in a little town up in the mountains in the middle of nowhere. And it's interesting to watch how he acts when he gets some years behind him and he feels his oats. He never stays home, is what it seems like. He hated where God put him. He was born in the smallest tribe. They had the smallest amount of territory. And it seems like he just didn't like staying home. He was born to some old people. He was their only child. How about that? Born to your grandparents. Didn't have any other children. Think about that. Wouldn't you like to get out of the house? Anyway. But there's good reasons that God placed you and me right where He did. With the family He placed you in, with the group that He placed you in, maybe even the town or city He placed you in, there's a good reason God put you there. So all you young people tonight, think about that. There's a good reason God placed you in the family He did. With maybe parents with the faults they've got. There's a good reason. A good way to head down that road of ending up blind, bald, and bound and grinding is to start out with hating where God puts you in life. Number 2, Be stubborn about what you want. And you can see that pretty quickly in Samson's life. In chapter 14, verse 2. He's down there visiting the Philistines, not staying home. And he's down there, and he sees a woman that he wants. And he says, I've got to have it. I've got to have it. I've got to have what I want. When I want it, I'm going to have it. His parents said, Samson, think about this. This isn't really what you want. And they were proven right. Even if they were old, they were proven right. Be stubborn about what you want. I saw a woman that I want, and I'm going to have her. A lot of people end up blind and in bondage because of their stubbornness. I have to have what I want when I want it. Just like Samuel told Saul, stubbornness is as a sin of idolatry. It affects it. You want a sad life? Stubbornness will get you there. Stubbornness will lead you down that path of blindness and baldness and bondage. Number 3, hate the restrictions that's put on you. All young people probably have, they come to that point where gotta have some more room. A good way to get down that road to bondage and blindness is to hate the restrictions put on you by your parents and authorities. Look around. Just look around at what everybody else can do, where they can go, the movies they can watch, things they can do and say, and complain that you can't do it. Samson couldn't eat grapes. He was a Nazarite. He had a lot of restrictions put on him from birth. He couldn't eat grapes. He couldn't get close to a dead body. He couldn't drink wine. He couldn't associate with anything unclean. What a boring life. That's probably what he thought. What a boring life. You can kind of see how he functioned. He wasn't happy by the restrictions put on him. And number 4, sneak around and do the forbidden. If you want to end up with a sad life, a life of bondage and blind, sneak around and do the forbidden. You could ask yourself the question, what are you doing right now that you know your parents don't want you to do? What are you doing right now that you know your parents would not be happy with if you knew you were doing them? Are you going places physically or on the internet that you know your parents would be very unhappy about? What music are you listening to? Are you listening to music that you know your parents are not in favor of, would not like? Videos you're watching. Samson couldn't stop sneaking down to the Philistines. He couldn't stop himself. He kept sneaking down to the Philistines, and it got him in trouble so many times. Sneaking around, doing the forbidden. A good way to head down that road of bondage and blindness and baldness. Number 5, this is from Judges 14:3. Don't listen to the little thing, the little talks, the little pep talks, the little instructions that your parents have for you. Just don't listen to them. Refuse them. Samson, he wanted that woman down there. She said, or they said, well, Samson, is there never somebody among your own people that you could go with? Didn't listen to them. Don't listen to the little talks that your parents want to have with you. Ignore them. Don't allow people to speak into your life. And better yet, if you want a sad life, reject instruction. You won't tell me what to do. And better yet, I will have an attitude that won't let anybody else speak into my life. If you want a sad life. Make it difficult for anyone to speak into your life. How about that? You want a sad life. This seems a little negative, but I mean it in a positive way, and I'll try to end up positive. Reject instruction. Proverbs has a lot to say about the person, the son or daughter that rejects instruction, that scorns the instruction of their parents. It says the eagle of the valley will pick it out. Basically, it's saying they won't be able to see anymore. Don't listen to your parents or allow people to speak into your life. Samson learned, didn't he? Number 6, and here we have associate with people. Make your close friends, your best friends, those that serve other gods. And the god of the Philistines at this point was Dagon, the head of a man, or body of a man, and the torso of a fish, maybe head of a man, and the lower part was a fish. I'm not exactly sure, but it was an ugly god. Quite a freak, but they worshipped this god. The world has a strange way of finding quite the freaks to worship, I'll put it that way. And they worship them for a while, and then they leave them in bondage. A good way to end up blind, bald, and grinding, going nowhere, is to associate and be close friends with people that serve other gods. This world has a fascination with freaks. Why do you see people walk around with green hair and blue hair and pink hair and all kinds of strange things through it? Why? Why do you see people walk around with big earrings that with their earlobes stretched out? Why? Why do you see people walk around with rings in their noses and in their eyebrows and everywhere else? Why? It's because the God that they're pursuing is that way. Think about it. All kinds of things like that. Our potential, your potential here tonight, isn't so dependent on how smart you are. It doesn't depend on the world having everything that you want. It doesn't depend on you being a millionaire or a billionaire. Your success, or the maximizing your potential, is different. This world doesn't need more millionaires. Millionaires are fine, but that's not a goal in life that matters. This world doesn't need more billionaires. If we're going to give advice to follow your dream, then we need to make our dreams, we need to temper our dreams by the need of the environment around us. Look at what Jesus did when you begin to dream. Dreams are tempered by the environment we live in. Look around and find what the needs are and begin to dream how to take care of those needs, how to meet those needs as Jesus did. Your dream should address a need in the society that you're in. That's where your potential begins to come out. That's where what matters happens. Your potential has its foundation in your character. Your character cannot be built except by, it seems like God has this plan this way, but by difficulty, suffering, and challenge, and all kinds of sorts of things like that. Your character is built that way. When you allow God to do that without getting bitter about it and having a chip on your shoulder, your potential will be great, and God can use you. This world has many needs. This world needs a kind word. We can all do that. This world needs compassion. This world needs, there's a whole list of things that come out of the depth of character. Out of your character, the depth of your character. Those things that don't have to do with money, don't have to do with position, don't have to do with what you own or don't own. And when those things are the bedrock of who you are, then your potential will be realized. Your dream can be realized because you'll dream like Christ would have you dream. So anyway, you want a good life? You want a successful life? Associate with people that love the Lord and honor the Lord and serve the same God that you do. Listen to the little talks that your parents give you and invite input into your life. Love the restrictions that are placed on you. Love those things. Be willing to love where God puts you. Love the uniqueness that your parents have, even if you don't understand them. Love where God puts you. Love the church that you're put in. Love the group that you're put in. There are so many people that walk out of these doors or out of these graduation halls and they go down the road and in a couple of years they have lost their vitality. They are spiritually blind. They are in bondage to all kinds of sin. That's what I'm talking about. In a couple of years, a few bad decisions, a few bad choices, and we can end up spiritually blind. We've lost all the glory, all the potential that we could have had, and we're bound. We just grind in this circle of life. That's a sad life. God doesn't want that. We don't want that. So that's why I'm saying what I did tonight. Congratulations to you four. And wasn't quite 15 minutes.
Well, I guess we were all supposed to give a speech, and I wasn't really looking forward to it. I guess we'll see how it turns out. Thank you all for coming tonight, and it's good to have you here. I want to thank everybody who helped me finish up school. Thanks to my family for the encouragement they've given. And also thanks to my teachers for all the work they've done. And Mom taught me in first grade. That was teaching me how to read. That's probably hard to teach people how to read, I guess. But thanks. And at school, my first year, I was taught by Mr. Eric, and I was just a second grader. And, he was kind of a teacher, and so I was kind of nervous at him. Anyway, because everyone knew that he was the one in authority. Like one time he said, someone noticed what time it was past the Z when we were having music class, and he was like, "I'm the teacher, you're the pupil." So I probably would have enjoyed him more if I had been older and not so afraid of him. One of my favorite teachers was Miss Ruthie. She taught me in 3rd and 4th and helped out 2nd. And we probably overwhelmed her with all of our constant talking, questions and everything. But in 4th grade, she had this monopoly system with money, and you would, for your cleaning jobs you did, you would earn a salary and spend some of it to rent your desk out. And so you had about $200 left after that. She had a store with a candy jar in it. And just imagine taking 10 children and setting them down for a candy store, giving them $200. See what happens. We emptied the jar the first day. She had to raise the price. It was interesting to see how people would handle their money. But in 7th grade, I had Mr. Simon for my teacher. And we played some spike ball that year, or maybe that was a different year. We called him Sister Wyman behind his back. Mr. Wyman taught 5 years, but I only had him in 5th grade. I guess I was upstairs most of the time. And he was a good teacher. Did some fun shop classes and stuff. And some fun classes. And Mr. Brennan was my high school teacher. And he was really fun. One thing he did was ask questions when we were downstairs, just for random things that we liked. Like, what's a pet peeve you have, or what country would you like to visit? And we got, interesting things about each other. Like, Amy likes Lucky Charms cereal, and Gwen wants to be a farmer, and Isaac wanted to go to the Great Coral Reef, and Josh likes black raspberry ice cream. And he introduced us to get disc golf, and that's fun, but I'm not very good at it. I still enjoy it though. He gave us calendars this year. See how much work we need to get done. That's probably helped me be here today, because I figured out a lot to do yet, so I got it done, I guess. They all read some interesting books. We read the Endurance. Mr. Bryan read Good Old Archibald. That's an interesting book. And Mr. Eric read The Summer of the Monkeys. And he would look at the clock and say, "Oh, let's just keep reading." All the teachers worked really hard and did a lot to make school happen. They had to plan everything, and school was a good time. And I guess for y'all who are still coming through, it's over before you know it. So just enjoy it. Thank you.
Like Daryn, I kind of dread this part, but thank y'all for coming. It really means a lot. I wish I could say that I had prepared for like a month ahead, so to speak, and then revised it and perfected it and stuff, but I didn't get that done. And Mr. Brennan knows quite well that I'm a pretty decent procrastinator when it comes to getting my grades on this thing, so you'll have to bear with me. First of all, I am thankful to God for giving me such a good family, parents, and education, teachers, and church family, and guiding me throughout it. My parents taught me from the very beginning, and I'm very thankful for that. Without them, I don't know where I'd be. All the parents useless facts that they probably never thought, or that they already knew. I kind of bored them with, but they acted interested. Teaching and studying and everything, I really appreciate it. We have had basically the same teachers throughout all the years. There's all did great. I'm really grateful for all the ways they've taught me, not just math and language and science and social studies, but also the Bible. Not every student gets that. So thank you. Besides my parents, they probably have the biggest impact on my life. As I thought over the years, I kind of had a blur of memories. And so, one of my favorite memories was studying for tests really late at night these last couple of years. And the worst was handing in my last year and then this year. So I really miss school, but I am looking forward to what God has for me.
Well, yeah, I want to say thanks for coming too. But, unlike Jenna, who procrastinates her speeches and writing assignments, I just don't do them. Nothing to go off with, but I just decided for the sake of the people that wanted to stop sitting in here and we're getting hungry, I just keep it short. And no eyes will get you to get up here too. I'm trying not to lose my train of thought. I didn't, I guess just going through school, you don't realize how much work teachers actually put into your life. And I guess you don't. Yeah, I just know like my last couple years of school, or to be high school, they would have been the ones where teachers that affected me the most. And I guess Mr. Brennan told me to go my high school years, so that's about as far back as I can remember. But I did. Yeah, okay, so I did. I wrote a book about all my school life, and it's happening here actually. It's 12 Years a Slave. Remembering the past, but I do have a lot of thoughts about the future, and I'm really excited to step on. And I guess really I didn't know how big of a step graduating actually was. I just thought people can do school and stop going to school, but actually it's quite the move on. But like what's this big a deal about graduation? You can just skip it, but sort of. I don't know if it's but I guess in the future, I'm just going to be working like a good Mennonite, and I guess we'll see what God has for me. I'm really bad at planning, as you can see my stack of speech papers right up here, but I didn't plan though. 25th birthday, I wanted to have a birthday party, and all the people that brought gifts, they are invited to that. I'll thank you.
Good evening. Y'all definitely covered like everything, but yeah, I wrote this at 11:30 last night, so we'll see how it goes. Over the past 12 years, it seemed like I should have learned more than I did, but one of the things I learned recently was how much I take things for granted, and I'm realizing that a lot this year about how much people have done and taught me. So tonight I want to thank each one of you that have taught me I should all. First of all, I'd like to thank God for being the greatest teacher. For He's put a lot of good influences in my life. I want to thank Mom and Dad for being teachers every day. They were always supportive and ready to help whenever I needed it. Big thank you to all my teachers, Mr. Brendan, I guess I'll call you Mr. Dad, Mr. Simon, Mr. Eli, Miss Ruthie, Miss Tammy, Mr. Eric. And as Daryn did say, Mr. Eric was Mr. Eric. You have taught me a lot and kept school fun and creative. The year that stood out to me the most for being creative was the one that when Miss Ruthie set up her economy thing, which Daryn did say, where everybody wanted to be a banker, and we all voted Timmy on for water coach. I don't know why, but yeah. I also want to thank Miss Judy for teaching writing class. You got me started writing, not only when I had to, but when I wanted to too. You know, my fellow students were people that I learned from a great deal. A couple of things were getting along with people your age for 6+ hours a day, which is a good thing to learn. How to get the teacher to talk about random things for as long as possible, which is something Mr. Eric did. And how to pull off pranks on fellow classmates and teachers. I'm not going to get into a lot of details about that to protect the innocent and the guilty, but I will say that Germex and X-Lax were a couple ingredients in the pranks. Maybe we should call it science experiments. Fortunately, all of them failed. I believe the key to a good year is the students. I'm sure the teachers will agree with me on that. You guys are one of the things I learned a lot of last year was how much I don't know. And how much there still is to learn. A very wise man once said, anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. Now, Henry Ford said that, so you Chevy lovers can do it. I'm really going to miss school, but I'm looking forward to what God is planning for me next.
I didn't actually use chains. I mean, where you got that picture from? Not all the wrong book. Well, congratulations, you got the worst part out of the way. I think that was the worst part anyway, wasn't it? I heard a lot of groaning and talk about how they didn't want to do their speeches the last few weeks at school. One statement in them. But you made it. Now your speech is done. And by the way, you guys probably know this, especially for you young men. Getting out of school means that you're actually going to be up to you'll have more opportunities to come up here and share with yourself. I guess you're getting started on a new thing. You guys talked about, all of you talked about being excited for the future and what God has for you next, and that's good. I hope that as you move into life after this, that it is good, and that the things that you hope to do and the things that you dream about, hopefully they're in line with what God has for you, and He will bring those dreams to pass. Isaac, you mentioned that we should never stop learning, and I definitely agree with that. I might say that I learned more in the last 3 years as a teacher than I did in all my 12 years as a student. I don't know. Definitely do. I've learned a lot. I've learned from you guys. Thank you. I remember back to my graduation and think about what I've learned since then. One thing that I discovered after I was done with school, I actually liked work and actually missed doing school. I didn't think I ever would. But I found out that it was actually fun to learn, and I still enjoy learning. So I hope you guys can do that too. Some of you miss school more than others do. That's all right. We'll all enjoy the same things. Well, since you gave your speeches in order from youngest to oldest, I guess we'll also do our diplomas that way. So I guess, Daryn, you get to brag that you graduated before older classmates did. If they would have not made you go first, then I guess they could say, hey, graduated first. So we'll go with Daryn first, and Daryn's going to say congratulations. And for you is move on and do whatever God has for you. So this year, your journey with Him is supposed to be as you go through. You need a lot of hard work, and you deserve to stay. Congratulations. Jenna, you also did a lot of hard work. Jenna did more school this past year than I think I've seen any of my students do in a year. Very hard and accomplished a lot. So, congratulations, and blessings to you all. Good for you, students. Jamin, it was also good to have you as a student. I enjoyed your humor in the classroom and chuckled at your procrastination many times. maybe grown a little bit sometimes too. But congratulations on finishing up. And I know it took you longer to do your work than you thought it would. But blessings as you move on. And I hope God continues to congratulations to you as well. And your work also took you a little longer than you usually expected, but that's all right. And blessings as you continue to follow God in His leading and whatever that is. And students, thank you for what you shared and brought to the school. Congratulations.
Right, well, thank you for sharing what you shared, and congratulations. This is a time of the evening where we would open it up and invite someone who would care to say something of interest or of inspiration. I know a lot of young people are dying to get up here and share embarrassing memories, but it'd be good to have some grown-ups too, you know, share something that people would be inspired and blessed, encouraging them from their long years of experience in life, something that was done for them. So I'm going to sit down a few minutes and just give it a little time if someone wants to step up and share something. And we won't open up for terribly long, but it's good enough to know.
Well, I don't have a long speech at all, but one of the things I thought about as Dave was talking about Samson was that he squandered what God had given him, the opportunities in squander. And I'll just say this, and keep it short so we can remember it. This class can remember it. Anything that's worth doing is worth doing right. Is that right? I think that's true. And, you know, we all can look back in life and realize there were important things we should have done and could have done better. But now's a good moment to reflect on what we're doing currently. It's worth doing, it's worth doing well. And as this class follows whatever God has called them to. Because the Lord has called us to something that's worth doing right. Let's think
Well, there's really only one that I know here in the class, Isaac. With the others, God bless you as you move forward from here. You know, we all look back at monuments that we may have placed or certificates that we've earned. I don't have a lot of certificates. In fact, the only one I really got was a certificate from the School of Hard Knocks. And you know, wisdom is taking everything that we know, okay? We've been taught. Do we remember? And not only that, but take that knowledge, things that you remember, and apply them in wisdom. You know, the Bible talks about, you know, ever learning and not coming to the knowledge. God has something great for all of us. It's just a matter of being there and doing it. And so there are things that happen in life. Like I can remember one time I had to finance a car. I remember getting the title, titles, the cars. You know, it's like, it's got a stamp on his paid, you know? And most of all, as we look back at our relationship with God, and we can look back at baptism, sealing of a relationship with God. You know, I got a license here in my pocket. It gets me early to drive. There's just so many things. But yeah, it's when you stop thinking about it, it's just knowledge, things that we've been taught. Remember them and apply them wisely. God will bless your life. It doesn't matter what you do. Wisdom. Seek after it.
Anyway, I was saying learning's fascinating. I think I didn't get that ago, it's probably 30 years. I started looking like we just bump into something, meeting system, and work with people every day, and share the person every day. And people are so different. And it's fascinating. The world is fascinating. That is going to be great, but even while we're here, it's really interesting. People are interesting. Everything you bump into is interesting. Whatever job you do, like unpack it. You know, like try to figure out why does this work this way? Why anyway? It's really fascinating to be able to learn. I'm trying to.
What we've heard is very good instruction tonight, learning. And there's one thing that stuck out to me back when I was little. There was a little book that would go around that called an autograph book. And you have multiple pages in there. And one time, somebody gave me one of them books. This was really great. I handed it to this person, they got a little something in there, and it back to this person. And there's one poem in here that always stuck out to me in life. How many of us like artificial worship? No hands on. There's a reason. We don't like artificial stuff. We don't like somebody that puts on a fake front. A little poem was written by an older gentleman. I never knew him real well. But in my younger years, he was interested to be around. He had quite a good story to tell. He loved a good joke. But he's also serious about life. A little poem was always be what you is and not what you isn't. But if he is what you isn't, he isn't what he is. So you're a tongue twister. But be real. Don't try to be like somebody else. Be yourself. Be what God made you. And see God's will. God's direction in life. And you will always be what He is and not what you isn't.
I'm not going to say much eloquent stuff and instruction for y'all. I'd like to do a little bit of the memories. They won't probably be very embarrassing. I will be nice. I've had a lot of fun getting to know y'all over the years. I remember doing stuff at Dave's house and catching crayfish with Jeff and Jenna. That was always fun. I remember many Happy Creatures meetings, playing Frisbee and so on with Isaac. And that was a lot of fun too. And I remember fishing with Jamin. And that's a good thing to remember. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. But I remember the most things about Daryn, of course. And I'll share sort of a specific memory. I remember one time, I don't remember how old we were, probably 10, possibly 10. We decided to get up early Sunday morning and play Settlers. We did not know it was time change, and we did not know it was, let's see, what was it? It would have been, I guess, fall. Anyway, so we actually got up at like 4:30 and started playing Settlers in the laundry room. And Dad came in there and goes, "What are y'all doing?" And we were like, "Playing a game." But I've always had a lot of fun with you, Daryn, and I'm excited for you as you continue going on in life, and thank you for being a great brother.
Looking at you, bud. I have a lot of memories, and with these four little, sorry, I shouldn't say little, young guys, y'all were always up in the upstairs class, and I remember one time Dad would be reading a story, or we'd be doing our schoolwork very nice and quietly. I think it was the newspaper teaching, and no, nothing. It was great. Anyway, all of a sudden we'd be down there calmly doing our stuff, and the ceiling would start vibrating, the lights were just blinking, and we were just shaking. And upstairs there was a simple exercise routine and some jumping jacks. Downstairs we were doing a all-out earthquake drill. For the door. But how many of y'all remember the Unity Bowl that Michael did when he was substituting? I would never forget that time, and that was a good thing for me to learn. But Isaac, we grew up in a very interesting thing. You know, we had some really good memories. Swimming in Santa Rosita with the alligators. I don't know, I never underestimate the power of missionary kids. Anyway, I just want to say, I'm really proud of you guys. And it's really yesterday that I graduated. But go out there with a heart after God, and really seek Him in anything you do, because that's what will get you far in life.
Hey guys, you know, I don't know much about your school, but I always was impressed as an intermediate teacher, because you guys had real good biblical answers to my worldly questions, each one of you. Yeah, you know, I really appreciate you. I remember when I was sitting in the same place as you were. And if there's anything I can tell you, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says this: trust in the Lord with all your heart, and your understanding. All your ways acknowledge Him, and He'll direct your paths. Remember that. Remember the path, that straight and narrow path. Because He's going to get you. The world's going to have all kinds of paths to you. So anyway, I'd just like to say thank you for being in the intermediate class. Hey, man, I'm proud of you guys.
All right, well, thank you each for sharing. I don't have a lot to share either. I was thinking this evening that it's easy to look back at big moments that we might feel define us or make us who we are. It could be something that's out of our control or something that should have been in our control and wasn't, maybe an embarrassing moment or success. And I don't think those the big moments that define us as much as the pattern of things we choose. You know, David was a good king with some weak moments. And Saul was a bad king with some good moments. We don't remember him for the good moments, we remember him for the pattern of his life. We don't remember David for his bad moments, we remember him for the pattern of his life. And so, I think Paul said it well when he said, forgetting those things which are behind, pressing for those things which are before, because if we let past success define us, we're going to be lazy. If we let past failure define us, we're going to be timid. And we have to somehow recognize where we're strong and where we're weak, and work on those things. And I think each of you has shown a pattern already in life, and that's good. And I don't know any of you as well as I know Isaac. I know all of you some because I was in school with him for a couple of years. But just because I know Isaac, I'll give this one example. There was a week, probably about a year ago, he decided he was going to eat vegan for a week, just to try. And so he did. He stuck with it. He didn't eat anything that had any hint of any kind of animal product, which included honey, and included milk, and eggs, bean burgers, and other kinds of weird concoctions. I told him he was the first vegan hunter I'd ever met. He stuck it out. But what blessed me was his stubborn commitment to finish something he started. And that's just one small example of one thing that can prove to be a pattern in life that will be a good thing. And the rest of you have things you can mention. Some things that when used in your search to be a learner and other things that people mention serve well. So blessing in that. And I just look forward to seeing some of you step into the exciting world of wine and lumber on Monday. Stepping out of school to that. The rest of you, whatever you can. We're going to bring this meeting to a close here. I'll remind you of a couple of things. Each of the graduates has a table back here with some personal things on it, things they enjoy, some pictures. There's also some photo frames to sign out in front if you choose to do that. There's also a snack down in the pavilion, so if you drift down there, I think the server might need a few minutes to set things up. And I guess you get a signal when it's ready. Is that right? Okay. Why don't we stand together? We'll have a closing prayer. Thank the Lord for the food. And everyone will bless us in prayer. Father, we thank you tonight for what we've seen and heard here and thought about. Thank you for each of these graduates this evening. Bless them with a special memory of this day. And help them to cherish what it means. And always feel the support behind them. And always remember the counsel and advice that was given. Help them, Lord, to go forth in life in full confidence that you will be with them and guide them. And make them success in things that matter. And go to the kingdom with these 4 young people. Bless our food tonight and our fellowship.